Welcome to the Casual Nerdcast. I'm your host, Justin. Joining us for this lovely, I think, rainy evening, Andrew.
Not anymore.
Hello.
Emil.
Evan stole my color, so I grabbed orange this time.
And Evan.
I guess I have to stop playing Destiny at some point, don't I?
Yeah, you
Probably.
kind of need to put that down now.
But
Can
it's
you-
so good.
Can you separate yourself from
Eh.
Destiny, man?
Fine.
Yes, Mom.
My apologies. After this, you'll join. You'll be playing Destiny again real soon. Promise.
Yay!
All right. Our first topic of this evening. Riot Games has decided to reset the lore to League of Legends. So the developer of League of Legends are now basically having trouble introducing new champions with the current lore that they have in place. So in order to counter that, they've decided to reset the entire lore overall so that they can set up a new infrastructure to reintroduce those characters and have a lore set up in such a way that it's a lot easier for them to introduce new champions rather than the current infrastructure and lore that they've set up right now. What do you guys think?
Can I start? Because I have the easy one.
Yes.
I'll be honest, I had no idea League had lore.
It's there.
I played till I was level 6, and I was like, ooh, Fields of Justice, this is cool.
It's there. It's subtle. Like it'll be like, oh, they'll be like, oh, this champion is actually like related to this champion or whatever.
Yeah. Also, the design philosophy is like everyone's kind of grouped up into different like cities or nations,
Yeah.
which I think that kind of is what spurred the decision for that. Like the new champion that they announced is some dude named Azir. I don't know. Basically, he's like a sand dude. He makes soldiers out of sand or something. I don't know what he does. He's new, but he makes soldiers out of sand. And I think they wanted to release him, but they didn't know where to put him. So now in the new reset, I think there's a new like desert nation that some other characters are going to be like placed into. And
That seriously sounds like something straight out of the latest season of The Legend of Korra, man. I don't know if you guys have been watching it or not.
yo, Legend of Korra is sick. Season 3. So anyway,
That's why I was like, you said Hazir. I was like, do you mean Zahir? Sorry, I don't mean to sidetrack. I was just like, wait, what?
oh, that show's so good. Anyways,
Oh yeah, please continue.
yeah. So I guess it makes sense for them that they want more creative boundaries, but at the same time, yeah, I think this is something that won't bother a lot of people.
Right.
What do you think, Evan?
I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest. I mean, I play Dota a lot. I'm not picking games or anything, but it's just like I don't even care about Dota's lore at all. It doesn't make a difference to the game to me. It would make a difference if, because you were saying that there's nations and there's different factions and stuff like that. And I knew about that in League, but it always made me kind of not care just based on the fact that it doesn't matter what the factions are once the game starts. So it didn't make any sense, to me at least. Just because it's like, oh well, these people are actually enemies in the lore, but now they're magically friends because fuck you. That's why. So the whole lore thing doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it would make sense if they just made a specific lore for each character, but screw any of these like factions, alliances, cities, and stuff like that, and countries, because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
I mean, Dota has like the Dire and the Radiant, but I don't even know how that ties in, and I don't care either. Right?
To be fair, that just carried over from Dota 1, which was a Warcraft mod a very long time ago. And
Yeah,
I
but it's
I don't think IceFrog really had any lore at that point. He was just like, oh, look, cool, game mode.
yeah. I don't even. I'm gonna search. Is there Dota? I mean, I know characters have some lore behind them. but
Now
it's-
there's a whole bunch, yeah.
I always wondered why like MOBAs just don't have like what's a good example? Like a Hunger Games or like a battle royale kind of thing where they're just like thrown into an arena and they're just like, "Okay, fight." And it's just like, "What's our lore?" It's like, does it really matter? You're in an arena and you have to work together and fight and stuff.
Yeah.
Like and then
Actually,
basically they could introduce champions that are basically like, "Oh, we captured a new person and now you can use him as like a slave or whatever in this arena." Riot
Actually,
Games.
I just searched Dota lore and I found this YouTube channel that has a video, like a 5 to 10 minute video for every single champion, and it's just a huge lore thing. Or
It's-
fan made lore? What?
How
I
does
don't
know,
Dota
that's
2
deceiving.
lore work? It's like, oh, so he was born in the year 1602, and his parents decided, we're gonna name this kid Anti-Mage.
Yo, Eddie
Yeah.
named the class, not the name.
Little baby Anti-Mage. His first name is
Yeah.
Anti, his last name is Mage.
Oh, I see.
Okay,
So
so
it
let's
works.
I can get the general vibe is that
Yeah.
because it's a MOBA, the lore is more or less irrelevant anyway. So
Yeah, it's
let's try to broaden the scope a bit more. Let's focus less on MOBAs and let's say now in just lore resets in general.
Well, I mean, this is basically like a reboot, essentially,
Yeah.
and they recently did reboot the entire map for League of Legends, so I guess we can just consider this League of Legends 2,
pretty
Yeah,
much-
that's true. That's true.
Yeah,
right?
Like-
I mean,
but I don't get upset when Tomb Raider got rebooted. That was really good. Like reboots are just part of the industry, like part of the thing, you know. So
Yeah,
and
but
I mean, even DC Universe did this, where everything just got way too convoluted, and they're just like, all right,
Yeah.
fuck, we have like a million Earths, let's just screw it. Let's start over again. We're not gonna go through like.
Then we'll have a million nerds plus one.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have nothing against it. I
yeah.
mean,
It's
as-
funny because
I'm sure people are mad, but
it's funny
I
because it's
don't
a
know.
full-on Infinite Earths storyline now.
I actually don't. I know a lot of people that play League of Legends, and I don't know anybody that legitimately cares about the lore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think that they like on the point of being League of Legends 2, it's not quite that because League of Legends 2 would imply that the first League of Legends is still in place and like, you know, it's concluded and now there's a second one kind of starting, whereas in this case it's just like League of Legends, that lore never really happened. Here's what we actually meant to do. That kind of thing.
Yeah, but I mean, also, I feel like the lore of this game was kind of something that just appeared out of nowhere. Like they just kind
Agreed.
of started doing it just because they could.
And
Yeah.
they're doing
Um,
it again the same way.
Yeah.
Because honestly, this isn't going to change the game even slightly.
Nope.
Like not even a little bit. There's going to be
Right.
nothing. We're probably going to see a bigger variety of heroes, right? Because as Andrew said, you know, if they're making an entire sand place, then now we'll see these new sand people come up. So it arguably, I mean, they shouldn't have been limiting themselves based on that, anyways.
Yeah.
Now, arguably, we'll see a wider range of heroes.
But yeah, but at the
Um,
same time, like I think, just as creative, like designers, and also like as players, it is kind of cool to have like, to know that this person does have a backstory or something.
Yeah.
Just like on my end, like I don't care about it in like, oh man, like I can't wait to find out Tristana's story. Like it's more like, yo, this is fun. Like we
Yeah.
can make like in jokes about this when I'm playing with friends or something. Like
Oh yeah.
Because like the thing that I'm kind of like, even though like I'm not entirely tied down to the lore, you know, it's still like, you know, lore is lore, and I feel like it should have some kind of conclusion, and then it can move on to like, you know, I don't even care if it's like something extreme, like, oh, the entire map got like nuked or something, and then like they all died, and then some evil organization started taking their DNA and reproducing the champions, and now they're stuck in a cyber arena fighting for their lives or something. Like it's like
so
it,
Saints Row.
you know what? Saints Row is, you know, they've reset, you know, yes. You know what? Riot shouldn't have just be like, hey guys, we screwed up, we need to make a new lore. They should just like end the lore, and then I don't even care how extreme it is. Just kind of like accept what has happened, and then kind of create something new out of that. I don't know. Resetting the lore implies that your current, what's currently there is no longer there.
Yeah.
yeah, it isn't.
Yeah, which is like it's
But also, you know what? I don't necessarily. I highly doubt that they're going to rewrite everything. They're
Right.
probably going to use the current lore as
Yeah.
a nice base and then just build on top of it.
Right.
I mean, there definitely are ways that they could write this in. Like, if they just, for example, with World of Warcraft, they wanted to have a second part, like Azeroth. They didn't want Azeroth to be the be-all, end-all of the world, so they created the Dark Portal, which allowed people to go to Draenor. And then, so like, there are definitely ways that they could write around this, but I think they don't want to go there yet.
Right.
Which is definitely fair.
And I guess like what I want to kind of allude to now is how did you guys feel about the Star Wars lore reset? Well, not necessarily the lore, but like basically kind of between 1 and 6 is what's Star Wars, and everything else is just kind of thrown out the window.
Yeah.
Mm.
Evan's the biggest Star
Yeah.
Wars dude.
I could
here.
feel I could feel his pain on his face just like mentioning it.
I'll post a picture of my case somewhere. But anyways, I'm very annoyed about that, but I understand. The thing that really annoys me about the Star Wars reboot is that Star Wars is story based, right? Like, it's really nothing. There's nothing else basing why I love Star Wars except for the story and the themes and how everything works together, right? With in a game like League of Legends, the thing that draws me into the game is the game, right? So I feel like there's a definite difference there.
Right.
But the thing about Star Wars is there was so much lore. Like, it's ludicrous how much they had to write into. So I understand why they had to reboot it. I'm interested to see what they start saying, oh, this is still canon, and oh, this is still canon. Because right now they just did a clean wipe, but from the sounds of it and from the sounds of what Episode 7 is going to be, it looks like they're basing everything off of old canon.
Yeah.
Right? It's just
It's
that
pretty much like, this is all gone, but we reserve the right to sort of bring some of these things back on a case by
Because
case basis.
even the story that it looks like they're going to do for Episode 7, in the books, Luke, Leia, and Han Solo are all young, right? Like, it all happens 20 years after the original trilogy and stuff like that, right? Or
Mhm.
not even 20 years. Like, a relatively short time. So Luke is still, like, a ridiculously acrobatic, in his prime Jedi, and that is not Mark Hamill. Right? So just based on that, I understand it, because the actors that they arguably have to cast for these roles cannot fill the roles that were written in the books
Right.
anymore, to the degree that they could.
Right.
So just in terms of that, it makes sense. But especially the stuff that happened beforehand, I'd be interested to see. Like, I have a feeling that they're going to reinstate the entire KOTOR series and, like, Revenant and stuff like that.
Right.
This has just been kind of a blank slate for their writers to kind of,
Have creative freedom, I guess you can call it.
Yeah.
just be able to write around these stories without pissing off the fans more than they.
Probably are now.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, because if they started writing stuff and then it happened to contradict a book that was written by some obscure author that a bunch of the fans read but nobody cared, people would be really pissed. But now that
Right.
the lore's overwritten, if somebody writes something that's contradicting it, it's just kind of okay, yeah, that based on the old lore that didn't happen, but technically he doesn't have to follow it, so it's not a huge issue. Right?
Exactly. Like, it's you hit the nail on the head. It's for creative freedom, and really,
Yeah.
like, this kind of stuff, especially for video games, like, the narrative should in some way enhance the gameplay. And in this case,
Yes.
like Evan said, League of Legends, oh, now they can they have all these champions that didn't really fit with this current lore, but now we can sort of just openly, like, release them. Or in this case of Star Wars, now our writers aren't just on Wikipedia all the time, wikis, like, trying to fact check. Now they're actually just creatively writing a good story.
That makes sense.
So, like,
Right.
yeah. So at the end of the day, if that's what reboots are accomplishing, like, then I'm all for it. Because
Mhm.
in the end, reboots don't, like, erase your memories or, like,
Right.
take all the books. Like, those good stories are still there.
Right.
A lot of the DC people for the thing, they're like, it kind of sucks New 52 is happening, but all those good comic books are still there. So they,
And the new comic, and the other key thing about a reboot that Ninja Theory nailed on the head perfectly with the new DMC game is I was watching an interview and the interviewer asked, well, why did you name his guns Ebony and Ivory? And he goes, well, if we didn't name them Ebony and Ivory, then we're not making a DMC game, right? So as much as something's being rebooted, it's still, I do think it still has to be based a little bit in the original canon.
Okay,
or
that
else
makes
there's
sense.
or else there's no reason to. You might as well just be making a new story.
Yeah,
Right.
that makes sense. That makes sense.
So I think writers do have to be careful with that though.
Right.
Where you know the people who've been invested in Star Wars for since
80s,
like 30
70s,
years
80s,
now.
yeah, 30, 40 years almost.
Yeah, they don't want to feel like they've been forgotten, right? So and the same with the League of Legends guys. Like if they completely wipe all the old story and their new story is in something absolutely ass backward, like if they base it in space or something, right?
Yeah.
Like people are just gonna be like, whoa, what? This is kind of crazy. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And it might turn people away. So they do have to be careful with it. But I think if their writers know best, right?
Yeah. So I guess usually when people, I guess the general rule of thumb is that if you're resetting lore, it's more so to accommodate more creative freedom rather than just starting over. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Riot Games finds that good in between and not gear off into like a League of Legends 2.
Right.
All right, so let's move on to our second topic. PewDiePie has decided to disable comments forever. So in a recent video about a week or two ago, PewDiePie made a video saying how he found that most of the comments that were reaching the top were either people promoting their own channels, spam, or basically not really encouraging comments, more or less probably some kind of hateful messages and all that kind of stuff. And he says that a lot of the methods he's been using to communicate with his fans is mostly through Twitter, Reddit, those kind of venues. So as a result, he's completely disabled all comments on his videos. And actually the video I'm showing right now, it's comments are disabled. And if you go to any of his videos right now, all of his videos have comments completely disabled.
Right.
So one thing we should probably answer for people who don't know, PewDiePie is the top streamer on Twitch. He has the most subscribers, always has the most watchers. He's kind of the biggest one out there.
And when we mean by most subscribers, we mean most subscribers on like YouTube, not even like the gaming domain, like all of YouTube. He has the most
Yeah.
Wait,
subscribers.
he's number one now?
He should be, yeah.
He has, when I checked like a couple of years ago, he was the highest subscribed YouTube channel.
Yeah.
More than Justin Bieber, Vivo, like more than any. Like,
Yeah.
He has the highest just numbers.
Yep. He is crazy.
Crazy.
But anyway, so
Yeah. So this makes sense to me. I mean, I'm sure we've all heard the jokes on the internet that YouTube comments are a like shit stain on the internet.
Yeah.
They're really bad. He's not the first person to do this. Total Biscuit did it. Not too far back. So it's not crazy that he did this. I mean, yeah.
I think like now that it's more so like now you mentioned Total Biscuit. It's interesting because I actually didn't notice that until like I started. You pointed that out. It's interesting that like now that PewDiePie has finally stepped in and said YouTube comments are basically garbage. It's it now begs the question then how does YouTube respond to this? Like it's because like he is basically a YouTube employee at this point. He is like their
More or less,
money
yeah.
maker.
Oh.
So it's basically, and it's kind of shocking that because I remember him watching the video a bit. He's saying that he was hoping that YouTube would find a solution, but they didn't. And after his vacation, he just like screwed it and just disabled all the comments and stuff. So it's interesting to see how YouTube will change as a result. It's interesting to see that just a guy gaming online on YouTube has now such a big influence on an industry like YouTube that maybe they could potentially change it. I don't know. How do you guys see this?
I don't think they really, because YouTube comments are incredibly helpful for smaller videos.
Yes.
For smaller subscribers and stuff, there's a lot of legitimate conversation that goes there, and it's still kind of not the greatest because people are crazy,
Right.
but it's not bad. I mean, I think the problem just happens when you have however many subscribers, 31 million or something.
Yeah.
you're gonna have a lot of shit people, and you're gonna have a lot of great people,
Yeah.
right? And it's just generally with the way that the human race works, the people with the loudest voices are not necessarily the nicest people.
Correct.
And it's also the fact that, people with like a high amount of subscribers, people, spam bots usually turn to those YouTube channels to be like, hey, check out my channel, or hey, this and that and that. So you
On
get
the off chance it'll go up, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting to see how YouTube's going to handle this. I'm hoping maybe they can rework their algorithm. I don't know. How do you guys think YouTube will address this, or will they even address it at all?
I think that they will be paying attention, because I know the video manager, like you can read all your stats and stuff on YouTube. Comments is a big, it takes up a big field of that, and I'm not sure what kind of analytics or what kind of statistics data they have or use that for, but I'm sure that they use it for something. And the fact that 31 million subscribers worth of comments is suddenly gone, they have to, it has to come up in some meeting at some point. Whether I have no idea how YouTube works, how Google works. But
I think it's also
important.
really important because Google will probably be watching to see how his subscriber base reacts. If he loses a ton of subscribers, they'll probably have to do something about it, because now they understand, this is actually something that people care about, and the actual content because YouTube doesn't make money in and of itself. It gets people to make content for them. So if their content providers don't want comments, but the user base wants comments, then that's something they need to fix. But I mean, even as Justin said, you didn't know Total Biscuit deleted comments, right? It's something that I don't think a lot of people use. Well, I guess a lot of people use it, but I wonder how many people I wonder how many people would have noticed if he didn't publicly announce it.
Yeah, it's true. I've always followed Total Biscuit, and I always saw one or two comments, so I just thought maybe I caught the video really early. I didn't really notice the view count. But when I started looking at the older videos that he has, that's when I noticed he only had one or two comments at best. They're very centered comments.
Yeah. He's kind of one of those crazy YouTubers. Nothing against the guy, but he's very much, if I don't like you, I'm going to delete you and not let you talk to me or watch my video. He's pretty hardcore in that regard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Nothing against him. I mean, he's allowed to be that, but
I love vigilante internet justice.
yeah, it's like a Arthur Geese or whatever. I don't know if you follow him on Twitter,
Yeah.
but if you say one stupid thing to him, he will ban the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
He keeps on posting stuff on Twitter. It's like, oh yeah, 20 people in 1 week. Look at me go. It's like, holy shit.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. No bullshit.
On
Yeah, exactly.
On the topic of you guys mentioning Pewdiepie and his performance thus far, it seems like 2 to 3 weeks in after posting his video, it seems like his videos are still 1 million, 2 million a piece, 3 million a piece. So it'll be interesting to see how his videos, whether or not they'll change. Maybe they'll go up because now there's no more trash talking on the comments and more people gonna watch. Or maybe it'll go down because they really want to comment. Or maybe those parties will balance out and it's just the exact same amount, so nothing changes.
Yeah, I guess time will tell, right?
I guess time will tell.
And then we'll find out what YouTube's response is, if anything at all.
Yes.
Yeah. Because YouTube and Twitch and stuff, it's becoming really important for video games, for people to let's plays and live streams and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So this kind of stuff is important, and I hope it works out. Because good for this guy. Because I don't know, if for anyone who's ever created any kind of content or provided any kind of a service and have someone badmouth you just off, even if it's just offhand, it feels bad and that sticks with you. So it's good for this guy that he's sort of getting his mind cleared of that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's true.
And he still gets to communicate with his fans through Twitter and Reddit and stuff. So it's good.
Yeah.
The fans don't really suffer through this.
Yeah. We should probably start a subreddit then.
Yeah.
So our two fans can talk.
3
we can
Reddit
talk to them.
subscribers. Okay, which one of you isn't subscribed? All 3 of us?
So there's 4 of us, my mom,
Hey, let's treat our unicorns with respect.
Yeah.
our 2 unicorns.
2 unicorns.
All right. So moving on. So this is kind of relatively recent. There was a report that was released recently that well, this is all rumor and speculation at this point, that Microsoft is to buy Minecraft developer Mojang. For those of you who don't know, Mojang is the developer for Minecraft, and they've been independent since 2011.
Less than or more than that.
Right, because they released Minecraft in 2011. Sorry,
Yeah.
but they've been developing it in beta. They've been working on it for quite some time now, but they've always been known as like the indie company because I remember that.
Pretty much.
Yeah, they're basically like it's basically like what kind of, in my opinion, arguably my opinion, that kind of sparked the whole idea of indie development and kind of now, which is what kind of drove what is now, when you have the indie game scene, development scene, and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm
Right.
babbling at this point.
It's a little unsettling though. If you Google Minecraft and Microsoft, a bunch of companies are running the story that they are going to buy it. Like it's already happening because there's no confirmation or anything.
No.
And it was on the news this morning. I was driving to work, and 680 News, a local Toronto channel, they were talking about on the business report about how Microsoft is going to buy Mojang, and I was like, wait, what?
Well,
Why is this on the radio?
that happened with Google and Twitch too, and then like 2 weeks
Really?
later it was like, yeah, where Google, it was basically confirmed that Google was buying Twitch, and then a month later it was like, guess what? No, it was actually
Oh.
Amazon. Whee!
Right. But I mean, like, nothing's confirmed, but everyone said it is, and it's even on the radio. So it's like there's so much speculation flying around.
That's normal. That's
It was-
news.
I suppose, and the fact that we're interested in gaming and tech means we're actually noticing it now. But I suppose you're right; it happens more often than we know.
Yeah, see, the difference is we know it to just be rumors because we know the CEO of Mojang, who is known to be a radical and hater of corporations.
Considering he was bashing, who bought Oculus? Facebook. He was probably the guy bashing them the most. He was like, "What the hell is this? They're gonna run it right into the ground."
And talking about how they were gonna disregard Oculus Rift support and all that shenanigans.
Also, something.
So, our invisible monkeys decided to rip apart everything we knew about technology, and our emergency correspondents were hard at work and fixed it in a mere who knows how long. Anyways,
2 minutes.
2 minutes. Sidetracked.
Short form, internet fucked up, we reset the router.
Woo! Anyway, so the whole Mojang thing, being that Notch, or I guess his name, Marcus Persson, or however you pronounce his last name, he is pretty much one of the biggest advocates against big corporations buying little companies. I say corporations because if Notch or if Mojang were to be sold to Microsoft, they would become publicly traded. And they're not a corporation. They're just a bunch of cool indie devs. And Marcus Notch posted on Twitter December 18th, 2012.
Yeah, I was gonna bring it up.
Yeah, you mind if I do?
Go ahead.
His words. Anyway, my price is $2 billion. Give me $2 billion and I'll endorse your crap. So that's how much it costs for him to endorse something. So apparently Microsoft did their research and are offering $2 billion to buy something.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah,
That's hilarious. It's like a
that's his-
prophetic tweet.
That's his tweet on December 18th, 2012.
Can you link me so I can show
Yeah, yeah.
show on
There
the
you go.
podcast? Excellent. So this is completely legit, guys. We're not pulling this out of our butt. This is not just Twitter. Anyway, my price is $2 billion. Give me $2 billion and I'll endorse your crap.
I personally don't see it happening. Like, the guy's already turned down multiple offers before. Maybe not for $2 billion, I don't know. But
Well, I mean, so I was reading an article today. Again, I don't know how legitimate this is. They were saying that he might even be leaving the company. So if he does, this now becomes viable, right?
Yeah.
If he leaves the company to start a new thing,
right.
this is totally viable that it might happen. But again, this is all hearsay and whatnot and blah blah blah.
Plus,
Yeah.
he's only the owner and founder. He's not the CEO anymore. He doesn't really do much in the company, as far as I'm aware.
Exactly.
And let's be honest. I don't care how how invested you are in the creative freedom. Someone gives me $2 billion. I'm like, all right, buddy.
Yeah, but
I will
dude,
give you everything.
think about this. The dude's net worth is almost $200 million.
Yeah, that is
If
also
you,
true.
oh, I'm actually seeing it net worth 150 million on his Wikipedia page with a little green triangle, which means it's still going up. But like, that's the dude's net worth, and he's probably easily got 10 million available anytime. What's someone gonna do with 2 billion that they can't already do with 150 million?
What? What? Do you have any idea how much more $2 billion is?
So that's what I'm getting at, though. With $150 million, you literally cannot spend that much money, or I mean, most sane people cannot in their lifetime. With $2 billion,
Do you dare challenge him?
He'll
You
be
know-
like, yo, $2 billion?
Technically, Microsoft's challenging him right now.
Chill,
Here's how much you can
You-
spend.
Is the 2 billion? Okay. Wait. Let me just calculate something here. You guys can keep talking. I'm just gonna
If
calculate
Okay.
the interest on 2
Go
billion.
for it.
You don't
realize
need
this isn't
to.
gonna be all cash,
On
right?
on at least 22 million, you're talking about $10,000 on 1% interest.
with $2 billion,
Oh,
something
per
you
week, per
can't
week.
do
Sorry,
with
per
150
per week. Yes.
$2 billion can make you a spaceship.
Well, okay.
A little less than that.
A space ship. A space. You can go to space.
You can probably buy your own planet for that much, dude.
$2 billion. I would love to go to space.
Yeah, but did Evan find the
Yeah.
statistics yet, or 'cause
Two,
that's not-
so
Go ahead.
1% of $2 billion. Like that's enough. That's somebody's salary for the year.
Yeah.
Wait, whose salary though? Are we talking like a CEO salary, or are we talking about like a developer salary per week?
Here, I'm not confident in my ability
Okay.
to write out the
Let's be-
correct amount of zeros for 2
Let's make
billion.
things simple.
I
Let's make
wanna
things simple. You divide 2 billion by 1,000, which is 1%. You get 2 million annually.
Yeah.
That's a little
Yeah.
bit more than a salary, just so you know.
Yeah.
My point
So-
being, though. Yeah, you go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you can buy a house. Anyways, yeah, whatever. It's a big difference. Let's not talk about this though.
My
We're
point
not the
being,
business
dude's-
insider.
The dude's always shown integrity, and he has had offers to have Minecraft snatched up before. Probably not for 2 billion, but probably for insane amounts nonetheless. So I personally don't see it happening. Just the way his track record is, at least. I don't know about the rest of the company. I don't know what Carl, the CEO, thinks, but I'm sure Notch has some say in it because he founded
Yeah.
Mojang. Right?
I think it's more so the fact that he will not work for a company. He's willing, so that's why it's like if he sells, like not work for a company, but more so work for corporate. So he's
Yeah, that's
like,
not his motto at all.
uh,
The corporate part.
right. Okay, I was just like, what?
I'm
No, but
agreeing
anyways,
with you. I'm agreeing with you.
okay. So yeah, he's like, I think like he's probably just going to move on to something else. I feel like he thinks that because he's tried to do different things with Mojang. There was that.
CEO.
There's a shooter that he did
Oh yeah.
that I really wanted to happen. That was really cool, but that didn't happen. I also heard things about card games, but Hearthstone kind of crushed that. So I think that it might be the fact that he's just wants to move on to something else. He just doesn't think there can be anything that can be done with Mojang, and maybe he's just going to sell, because people are Minecraft and stuff. So maybe he just wants to sell that to Microsoft. And because Microsoft, Microsoft and Minecraft seem to on the 360 anyways, like they kind of go hand in hand when you,
Minecraft is on literally everything. I'm looking at the list of platforms. It's playable on a Raspberry Pi.
What? Well, yeah, of course. That makes sense. Because assuming it's running a stable distribution of Linux, because it runs on Linux. So.
I guess that's fair, but it runs on literally everything.
Yeah.
Everything recent, I guess. It doesn't run here. It doesn't run on Nest. I'm sorry. But yeah. So I mean, Minecraft's already on everything, and this is basically just going to give Microsoft rights to Minecraft. Which
Right, but that's also huge though, considering if you look at current, current swag for kids who are 7. Or
$2
whatever.
billion though.
Minecraft's a way of life.
I
So
don't.
I doubt it's going to be sold for $2 billion. I highly doubt that. It'll
Also-
probably be sold for a lot less.
I
if it is.
don't see Mojang being worth two. No offense to Mojang. I'm just saying I just don't see it being worth Minecraft as a brand being worth $2 billion.
Let's get off the idea that it's going to be sold for $2 billion. Because if it's sold, it's not going to be sold for that. They probably made a side deal on the side, or Notch might be leaving, right? But it's just in the end, all this is going to give is Microsoft. Microsoft is going to have access to those developers, and then it's going to have access to their IPs. So it's just going to have access to Minecraft. So all that we might see is maybe PlayStation 4 and PS3 and Vita won't get updates for Minecraft.
Gimp.
Way to segregate your audience even more.
All right.
Right, but that's not even an issue, right? Because it's still going to be on PC, and any PC
Sure.
can play Minecraft. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
I don't know.
Here, let's do what we did with Ubisoft and make things interesting. We're gonna make predictions on this because it is completely up in the air and
Sure.
there's a lot of conflicting things. People think it's confirmed. You have to answer two things. Will it be sold to Microsoft? Yes or no? And if so, how much is it going to be sold for?
Wait, if you say no to the first question, what
Then
happens
how
to the
much is
second
it worth?
There we go. Okay.
So, go for it. Who
Want
wants
me
to start? Who wants to start?
Sure, I'll take it.
Go.
I say no.
But how much do you think? How much do you think Mojang is worth?
By that, do you mean Mojang as a company or Minecraft the IP?
Well,
Yes.
this report is saying. Well, this
those
is
are
saying.
pretty much the same thing.
But I mean, like they're basically buying Mojang, so Mojang then.
Okay. Right, net worth, liquidity, assets, everything. I would say at least 1 billion. Not two, maybe not 2, but at least halfway there.
What do you guys think?
I think that the Wall Street Journal reported on this. They're pretty reputable. I would say that, I don't know, with all of the lack of my business knowledge, I'll say yes,
Okay.
and for $2 billion.
For $2 billion. So basically,
Yeah.
this what you're saying is this report is correct.
Yeah, I think Microsoft is trying to do what they do with Rare, but with Rare, they sort of bought them at the wrong time. I think they're trying to get ahead of the curve, be ready for Mojang's next new game, and make millions of dollars off the revenue from Minecraft.
Evan?
I agree with Andrew. I don't think it's crazy that they'd be sold. I mean, they really haven't done anything in a long time, so getting bought might be a nice little kick in the pants for them in terms of development funding and stuff like that. So
$2 billion?
sure, I have I have not the slightest idea how much they're worth. Because to me, I stopped playing Minecraft back in like 2010 after I made a flaming castle that like threw up lava, and I was like, "That's cool. I'm gonna go do something else now." I mean, it's just not my kind of game. So I don't know. I have no idea how much that company would be worth.
Uh-huh.
Justin? You can look at their Wikipedia page for their
I
work
know,
if you
I
want.
know, but like, I want to say no, just because like it just doesn't seem like. Yes, I do agree with what the both of you are saying, and I actually have a pretty good theory that maybe he is trying to move on.
I think that makes a lot of sense too. That he
Yeah,
would leave and start like a new company.
yeah.
Yeah,
$2
but-
billion?
That's not all going to him. You do know that, though, right?
Sorry, what?
Not all of that's going to him, though. Everyone knows that, correct?
Right, but
Yeah.
isn't it his call though?
He's just the chairman of the board. There's still the CEO, the COO.
Oh, so his decision could be redacted. Or-
Probably. I mean, I don't see why not.
I'm-
It's just everyone says Notch. I'll get back to your thought in a second. But everyone says Notch because Notch is Mojang. Notch is Minecraft.
Right,
He
right,
hasn't worked on it in years.
right.
All of the new stuff that's come in is the new guys. But anyway, continue.
I'm gonna say yes, but for
Okay.
500 million.
So a lot less.
I don't see it being worth 2 billion. Because I feel like whether or not this report is accurate or not, I do believe it is time for Notch, because I think he's just sitting really comfortably now, and I think it's about time he moves on. that from just to kind of explore his horizon again and maybe create some new revolutionary thing that I'm not gonna say kids because that's insulting. I'll just say everyone is excited about. But 2 billion for Minecraft?
Yeah, that is a lot of money.
Okay, I understand Minecraft is a really big thing, and I'm like, but like, that's 4 times the budget of Destiny.
Yeah, but dude, you're not just buying a game.
Yeah,
you're buying the IP, the company. It's like how Google bought Motorola for $3 billion. For what? A couple of phones? No, it's a lot more than that, right?
Yeah,
You're buying
Yeah.
also you're buying the
Patents.
people that make the phones
Yeah.
too. Like,
Yeah,
the
that's
whole
the
thing.
valuable
you're
thing.
buying
That's
talent,
true.
You're buying patents. You're buying licensing.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go right in between you guys. I'll go 1.5 billion. So,
I don't know.
yeah, I do start seeing the numbers. Like once you start saying like maybe they can value their IPs a bit more, the developers and all that stuff. It kind of adds up, but I still think 2 billion is a bit too much.
So then, how would they counter offer? They can't possibly counter offer lower. That doesn't make sense.
Well, we don't even know if 2 billion is an accurate number, right? This is a
But that's
report
what's-
allegedly is saying. It's a rumor.
Oh, okay. That's what you mean. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Fair enough. I thought you meant that's the number they've given, and then they have to counter. No, it's just a rumor.
No.
That's all it is. It's just a rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
we don't find out until these things are done. Can you imagine if they just like live streamed it? All right, Notch.
Here's a
Write
check.
number on a napkin.
It'd be
to
like
the table.
it'd be like the most boring thing ever. It'd be like a bunch of guys in suits just talking. Maybe even though the quality is so bad because the microphone's not even centered, so all you hear is like, and then you see Nosh just like, just signing something. It'd be like the worst live stream ever. Granted, it'd be
you
like
know
one of the
people
most
watch that.
controversial and historical, but like,
People watch the fish play Pokemon, okay?
True that. You'd be surprised at what people are willing to do. But anyway,
fair enough.
Yeah, but regardless of what happens, I think all of us can agree that we hope for success for these people and that more good games come out of it.
Yeah, we hope that Mojang will remain as independent as possible. If, like, even within the domain of Microsoft, because the new thing seems to be bigger companies, just acquiring little companies and just making them independent so that they can be more well funded for
Yeah.
stuff like that. All right,
right.
and now to our final topic. Do not read the headline of this article as it is a bit misleading to what we want to actually talk about.
Oh yeah.
All right, Andrew, do you want to lead the way?
Yeah, like, sorry guys, this is another like business sort of sourced topic, but
That's okay.
what was it? Bloomberg recently reported that EA Electronic Arts is supposed to be making like $350 million in revenue on DLC alone. The big ones being like Madden NFL, and they project that just the DLC industry in and of itself within the video game industry is worth $1 billion. And like, I just wanted to get your thoughts on like what do you guys feel about DLC? Because it's kind of controversial still in certain like hardcore gaming discussions, but apparently it's not that controversial because people are buying $1 billion worth of it.
$1 billion.
So,
The
so what do
total.
we think about DLC?
Like, do you guys like DLC when it comes out, or you like?
I
Do you like
think-
the old days where you sort of bought a cartridge? That was your
We kind of alluded to this topic before, but
Yeah,
now that we have an
that's what we
actual
talked about.
number, $1 billion alone this year.
yeah.
I
I
don't know.
bet
I mean,
all of that. Go ahead.
to me, DLCs are just something that comes out. If I like the game, I'll buy it. If I don't like the game, I won't buy it. It's DLCs are a great way for developers to release relatively low cost expansions to their game, right? And that's fantastic. Because I mean, before a game came out and you would never like you might see an update from it in terms of a new like $40 release, but now. I mean, for people who play Call of Duty or something, right? I know I'm picking a game that's kind of weird, but for people who play Call of Duty, they're going to get 5 DLCs. They buy the game, and then 5 DLCs come out while they're playing it, right? So their game is going to be updated 5 times throughout the year, and they're going to get new experiences with it in that, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I don't know. I've got nothing against them personally. If I don't like it, I just won't buy it. I mean, I'm not gonna buy horse armor, but I'll buy the new Infamous DLC that came out or whatever, right? Like that kind of stuff's interesting to me.
But $1 billion total
Think
this
about
year?
Think about it too, right? Like DLC is an online purchase all the time. I think, yeah, pretty much all the time.
Yeah, more or less. You don't buy physical. Oh well, except maybe it's stuff like
You have
You
to
can buy, like,
download it.
The
You can
last
buy
time-
codes from like
The last time I remember, I don't remember when I had a 360, I had Oblivion, which had Knights of the Nine
Isles
and like all
Yeah,
those
those-
other, those came in a
Shivering
disc.
Isles.
Well, Shivering Isles is an expansion pack.
Yeah.
Expansion packs and DLC get kind of mixed up a little bit because expansion packs are kind of that name has kind of been given to the old way that DLC was done, where it's, a
Yeah.
$40 purchase and you're going to get another like 12-hour experience out of your
Yep.
game. Something that's almost a sequel but not really a sequel. But DLC is literally just kind of, I mean, an extra 2-3 hours of gameplay is kind of all people really expect from DLC at this point.
But
Anyway.
also to kind of supplement the definition of DLC, that also includes DLC that's just skins.
Yep.
yeah.
Well, I mean, so
Like a
also
league.
don't forget, League of Legends could be lumped into this, right? And I mean, Andrew, you and me know a person who spent $2,000 on League of Legends.
Yeah, I've spent a lot of money on that game in the last. I haven't spent money on it in like 2 years, but there's a time when I spent a lot of money.
I feel
Yeah.
ashamed just spending $50 on League of Legends. Don't even say 2,000. I feel ashamed just spending $50.
Yeah, that guy spent $2,000.
Yeah. Either way, I mean, like this stuff, it's not. It just gives you more of your game. I mean, yes, it's behind a paywall, but these people are working. I do have issue with certain forms of DLC, but these people are working extra hours to get DLC finished in your game, and then selling it to you at a cost. Like that's literally what you did with the game. You're just buying more game content for money. Right? I do have a problem with it in terms of like Resident Evil 5. I know there's a lot of games that had this, where the Versus Mode DLC came out and everybody was super excited for it, but the download was only like 20 megs. So what that means is that the DLC
game was
just
locked.
it unlocked something that was on the disc, which is really bullshit because there's no reason as to why I didn't have access to that before. And
Mass
there's-
Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 was also like that with the Promethean DLC. I forget the name of it now, but
the weird alien dude whose name I can't remember.
he's
that was day one DLC.
not Prometheus
That
or
was-
Prothean.
That was day one stuff though, right? That stuff that stuff's a little different in and of itself because that was also only like one mission. I
And
don't
there's
know.
an entire new subset of.
But I mean, like
skins
it's
and
also like
character.
already on the disc. Those who don't buy the DLC, but the content is fully there. It's like
Yep. Plus, more importantly, the fact that it was crucial to actually understanding the story. You remove this character, things stop making sense.
Either way, so
debatable. I mean, I
the
played
way-
through it. It was like,
because the way that I understand that DLC is that to me, what happened in development, I mean, thinking of this in a best case scenario type thing, this was content that they wanted to put into the game but couldn't get finished before deadline. So when the game actually shipped on discs, they started working on fixing it, updating it, and then it just came in as day one DLC as pre-order content, right? Because
but yeah,
that's the way that I see that happened, but that's also best case scenario.
but yeah, the content was already on the disc though, was it not, or was it in an update?
At least that the reason why that doesn't make me so mad is because at least that DLC was available on day one. Versus Mode literally came out like 6 months later.
Fair enough.
Right, so it was an extra $15 for something that we could have had on day one, and it was postponed by 6 months for no reason, right?
Right.
Fair enough.
No reason that we know of. I'll state that, right?
Okay, so I guess now back to the topic. Do you guys think that DLC is? Do you think this is a bit off? The $1 billion of revenue for just extra content
Well-
alone for games this year.
I don't think I got to finish the thing I was saying before, which ties into this, is that DLC is almost all digital, right? And digital, more profit generally goes to the developer. There's no shipping costs, there's no any of that, right? So it just makes sense. People want to release DLC because you end up probably making more profit to the amount of hours that went in.
I'm
Just off the.
I don't know. It's for me. I'm just generally surprised more so the fact that DLC has always gone like generally negative connotations towards it. It's like when people talk about DLC, it's like DLC or like
Yeah.
this like oh yeah, next thing you know they'll be releasing like this as DLC or something. Like it's almost like a side joke. So what like it's like when you say expansion pack, that has a much nicer connotation to it. It's like, oh, I'm getting a lot more, I'm getting a bang for my buck, But like generally speaking, if you go up to anybody and talk to them about DLC, it's generally a mixed bag, depending on what the person's experience is. But for the most part, people joke about DLC being, absolutely horrible. So I'm kind of surprised to see that this is actually generating a good amount of revenue
Yeah.
for
I think
companies.
I think it also the problem with DLC too is that everybody's been burned by a shitty piece of DLC.
For the most part,
Right.
yeah.
Like it's something that happens, but then if you think about the really good ones, like most of I aside from Hearthstone, because I didn't really understand that one at all. Sorry, not Hearthstone. The housing one in Skyrim. Anyways, like all the DLC for Skyrim was really good. The final DLC, like the Tiny Tina with the doing the DMing stuff for Borderlands and stuff like that, like DLC is really really good when implemented properly. The problem is that sometimes it's not, right? And that's when we start getting our horse armors. That's when we start getting stuff like that where it's just but everybody's been burned by that.
Golden
Everybody
Sam
has.
Fisher goggles.
Huh.
So what you're
Yeah.
saying, DLC is almost like video games. Some of them are good, some of them are bad.
They are games.
Exactly.
They are like it's just
Yeah.
it's I mean
Some of them are games. Some of them are just, fashion
Debatable.
accessories.
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. To me though, I was mostly surprised. Like Justin, I was surprised by the $1 billion figure, and I think that kind of shows the sort of movement of people of the industry moving from like video games as a product and more like as a service. Like even like Call of Duty, when it first there's like what is it, Call of Duty Elite, I think it's called.
Yeah.
They have like that streaming and like there's like tutorials and like it's like a subscription service, or in a way you can consider like the DLC kind of a different form of like a subscription model. It's like $15 every 2 months. You get a new Call of Duty expansion that you kind of need to get if you want to be like hardcore into it. So I think, and like MOBAs and all that kind of stuff, like video games are kind of moving away from here's your Zelda cartridge and literally there's nothing we can do to change that and that's your toy, being like now it's like the relationship is we're talking to each other, we're communicating, we have to make your product better as it ages.
Yeah. On the topic of it's the article is written because it's not the article that's saying it's gonna be $1 billion. It's EA that's saying that the game industry will generate a revenue of $1 billion. I just find it very ironic that it's EA that's saying DLC is successful. I'd be interested to see,
The irony.
it's because it's EA. It's like they're the butt of all the DLC jokes.
We all saw what happened with Sims.
It's I don't know.
What's
It's
happening
They were voted most evil company in the world like 2 years in a row.
after Bank
Yeah.
before above
After
Bank of America.
Yeah.
and Comcast and all that other.
Yep, which is funny. Although to be fair, that was hosted and primarily not hosted. It was hosted elsewhere. It was primarily all over Reddit, which is full of gamers, and that's all who voted. So,
Yeah.
vote skewing much.
Yeah, basically. So
Bad
so
season.
so yeah. Do you guys have what was your worst case scenario with DLC?
I don't know.
I don't know. I can't think of any right.
I don't really buy much DLC unless I really like the game and I know that the DLC is good. That's a problem.
Yeah, here's the thing. The last few years, I haven't bought DLC. I've bought Game of the Year editions. That's why I haven't bought Arkham Origins yet. I'm waiting for the full thing. It's not going to be Game of the Year because it was made by different people, but a different topic. It's going to be a complete edition.
Interesting. I wonder if
And-
that's included in the
Okay.
report.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the other thing too is that I also like even with I mean we're kind of the subset of people that research the fuck out of our games before we
Right.
buy them, right? And if we do buy something that we don't necessarily want, we're going to we're gonna buy it on like a Steam sale or something. So then the price that we're spending makes something that's a little bit shittier worth it, right? What was a piece of DLC that I was burnt by?
Honestly, can't. Let me just. Maybe if I
still
go through my
thinking.
Steam library, I'll remember all of a sudden.
I'm still thinking. I can't
I'm trying
think
to
of
think back to like old PS3 games and stuff like that.
See, I was thinking Horse Armor just to be funny, but then I remembered I bought the Oblivion Game of the Year edition, so it already came with Horse Armor. So I don't know.
I don't know. I can't think of anything that I was actually really pissed off with. Because I mean, in the end, you're also generally DLCs $10 to $15. So if something's kind of shitty, I'm generally not pissed off about it. Because
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting that a lot of people like ourselves generally have a bad connotation of DLC, but when it comes to season passes, deluxe editions, we're like, okay, we're jumping on that.
I hate season passes so much. I don't like the idea of being sold something that I don't know what it's. I like because I could buy a season pass and one piece of DLC could come out for like $10, and then the company goes under, and I'm screwed over, right?
I never thought of it that way.
That's why you buy the Seasons Pass after all of them are released.
Yeah, but I mean, then there's just like Game of the Year editions and blah blah
Yeah,
blah.
that's kind of what I do. So
Yeah, that's I enjoy those because it gives you a full package of the game for cheaper and stuff. But seasons passes, I don't think I've ever willingly bought into one of those. I mean, I've gotten some just based on like I buy the collector's edition and you get a season pass.
You
right?
got Battlefield 4 Premium on release.
I didn't.
Yeah, but that's I mean, Battlefield's at the point where it's like Call of Duty. I know that it's going to get DLC, and they pretty much already state you will get 4 or 5 pieces of DLC with this.
And it's not like EA is going under anytime soon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
they're making $300 million off of Madden DLC.
Yeah. They have my trust essentially that they'll
Be
return.
releasing DLC of some form.
Yeah.
Though I don't know. I can't think of anything.
I don't know much about Madden. I don't know what kind of DLC gets included in that.
Right.
Because I assume Madden should be like a complete game. Like it's basically all the players' stats that get updated every so often.
You get extra footballs.
Extra footballs, extra player, extra uniforms. I don't know. I don't know.
I honestly have never been to the Madden section of any marketplace ever. So.
Yeah.
All right, too. So
Video games as DLC seems cool. Seems like people care like it.
okay.
And hopefully it's good for us.
If you hate DLC, just research your DLC first. Don't expect that if the game was good, your DLC is going to be good. Because there's a lot of instances where that's not true.
Yeah. All right. So, in conclusion, do you think EA's estimation of $1 billion worth of revenue in the game industry alone is on just DLC alone is a far-fetched number?
Yes. But I don't know which way, whether it's too high or too low. I haven't really given it much thought.
Wow, too low.
I don't know. Probably not. Probably not too low, but I just haven't really given it much thought outside of this conversation. So, if anything, it's probably too high. But I mean,
I don't know. If I think about how many people buy Grand Theft Auto or Call of Duty, and think that at least 20% of them buy DLC for those games, that's a lot of money.
Well, I mean, I just looked up, worldwide video game market. Apparently, I have no idea how correct this is, but video games in general had it's a $93 billion market.
Yeah.
Right? So that means 1% of that is DLC. That's not
that makes sense to me.
Crazy. Right? Like...
Yeah, that's true. I guess, the $10, $15 kind of really adds up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even...
I don't know, that definitely makes sense to me.
1 billion, yeah, I guess EA is not too far-fetched after all. I actually, now the more I'm thinking about it, I wouldn't say 1 billion, but maybe close to 1 billion. I'd say it's still 600-700 million roughly.
right.
I wouldn't necessarily say it would probably hit 1 billion. I still think it's an optimistic it's an optimistic prediction in my opinion.
Right.
Yeah. What do you think, Andrew?
Yeah, without NDP numbers or anything like super official anymore that aren't released to the public, it's hard to tell, like to say for sure. But like, yeah, 1% of the entire gaming market being DLC makes sense to me.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's wrap this up. Thank you for our little tiny unicorns for getting this far, for watching our heart, our blood, sweat, and tears. The 2 or 3 of you, or maybe the 4 of you now. Oh man, just thinking about it makes me really excited. Thank you, thank you for watching this far. Please like and subscribe our videos. Support us in any way you can. As usual, we have a Facebook and Twitter account found on the description. Any kind of topics or things that you guys want to talk about, tweet at us, post on our wall. We'll definitely take into absolute consideration what you guys are saying, and we will consider somehow squeezing that into our podcast.
By that you mean we will squeeze it into our podcast, because ideas, there's lots of ideas.
Fair enough. We will consider. We will. To kind of. Also, just a few things to add before we head off. I'm showing them the YouTube channel right now. Evan released a very interesting video. Thank you, Evan. So basically, we're starting a new series called "Why My Blank Makes Me Blank," and so basically, it's just Mad Libs. We're gonna fill in the words and stuff like that. So Evan released "Why Dishonored Makes Me Angry." So Evan will now just go to that video. Oh, he's wearing the same shirt.
I know.
So busted.
Oopsie.
Gross.
We marathoned this all at once.
Yeah.
So-
To be fair, I recorded that like 2 weeks ago.
Sure you did.
All right, we're hoping that some of us will express our, absolute love or absolute hatred or absolute neutrality about games.
The idea that I had behind it was more so just this thing where a game was going to, like, because Dishonored is a good game, but I'm just pointing out reasons why it frustrates me. So the idea I had is more so it's going to be a series about games that are generally perceived as good and why you don't like them, or games that are generally perceived as bad and pointing out the
Why you
good
do
things
like
about them, and pointing out like the silver lining or something like that, right? So I'm actually gonna do a new one probably this week at some point. I'm gonna do it on Last of Us.
Sweet.
So you can all hear my opinions on Last of Us.
I'm actually hoping to do one on StarCraft.
Cool.
So we'll figure that out eventually. And to kind of wrap also things up on our website, we have Andrew, who is he wrote a review for First Light for Infamous. I almost said Last Light. Infamous First Light. And he also is in the process. Oh, they're gonna see a little bit of that. I'm gonna peek that. Basically, what I believe is an esports article.
Yeah, it's about the president of ESPN, how he talked about esports, and my response to that. Go read it.
All right,
Yay.
sounds good. Well, we'll have that released sometime near the end of this week, which would probably be in the next 10 minutes if you're watching this on Friday. Okay, sounds good. Thank you for watching this far, and farewell.
Get to Destiny. Destiny.
You can, Evan. You will now have my permission to go back to playing Destiny.
I'm gonna Destiny.
Bye.
Bye.
I think I might join.